Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Spring, we're here, almost. Very excited to welcome this crew here. We've got Bailey back. How you doing? He's doing us. We'll get back to him. Emily, what's going on?
Hello.
Where are you calling in from?
I'm in Nashville right now, where it is 80 degrees.
There you go. Summer. There you go. Skip the screen. Go to summer.
Yeah, definitely.
It's been the same here. I think it was 80. It might have hit 90 already in Vegas.
Mm.
Yep. Missed that lovely 75 middle ground. Steve-O, what's happening?
Hi. It's almost 80 degrees here as well.
Right on. Your hair looks nice.
Thank you. I got my summer cut.
Yeah, that's good. It's a good look.
Finally vaccinated, so I wanted to have my hair cut in over a year.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Well done. Aaron, your haircut also looks great.
Going for that side bushwhack look.
There you go. Look at that. You do have a plant. All right. What's going on over there? You're in Seattle?
I actually am in Seattle right now. I leave tomorrow to head back to balmy Baltimore, but Seattle is treating us very nice with this 64-degree weather.
Okay.
So
cool.
Yeah.
And Bailey, you're at home, Connecticut?
I'm in Connecticut. Yeah, we just got back from Colorado. So
nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful in Connecticut right now. I think we're about 70 degrees and sunny. So getting some sun.
What are we doing in Colorado?
I got a haircut too, just like Aaron.
Yay, Bailey. Thank you very much.
What were you doing in Colorado?
We have a house in Boulder, so we were chilling out in Boulder for the winter, which is our favorite thing to do.
Nice.
And then we're about to start on Friday. We're firing up my new distillery in Connecticut. So
it's happening.
The first time this Friday. Timely.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Don't blow anything up, you know?
Yeah, try not to. Try not to blow up the neighbors.
Yep. That's always a positive. I'm sure they appreciate that. All right, let's get to it here, guys. We'll see everybody else in a little bit. So the topic, rum, the first global spirit. Very excited to see this. And there's a lot of discussion in your summary here about how this is not a branded presentation. So stoked about that. As usual, chat box and questions. Feel free to hit us up either via Facebook, Crowdcast, or otherwise. And please do share. Presentation 30 to 40. We're flipping the cocktail session first, and then we'll get back to Emily with 5 questions. A little background, Bailey, you've been here before, but just for anybody who hasn't seen you on, writer, producer, director, film and TV for over 25 years. Produced 7 feature films, over 150 television programs, received 17 Emmy nominations, winning 7 for his work on PBS. Founder CEO of Real McCoy, based on a film you produced of the same name, and it's won over 100 major spirits industry awards, distributed in 50 states, 10 countries worldwide. So, I got a lot of work to do to build a resume like that, So I'll see what I can do over here, but stoked to have you as always. Tell us what you're making over there cocktail-wise.
Well, I got a fun cocktail for you today. We're doing what we're calling the Passionista. And so it's basically passion fruit daiquiri, if you think of it that way.
I got it right here, actually.
Yeah, I can share my screen with you if you want. But yeah, that's it. So it's 2 ounces of Real McCoy 12-year. 2 ounces of fresh passion fruit juice, ½ ounce of lime. If you're using actual passion fruit, you don't have to add that lime component. And then a little bit of simple. And that's what I was doing right before we started rolling today. Perfect. Was getting the simple syrup done. So I've got some rum, our little 12-year, a couple ounces of that. Oh, here we go. Let me get all this stuff together. And then we've got a little bit of in this case, we actually have real passion fruit puree, which I'm very excited about. So we're not going to do the lime, but for anybody making this at home, if you're using passion fruit juice, they usually sweeten the juice. So feel free to do a little bit of the lime if you have the juice, or you can just go with that. And then here's a little bit of the simple syrup as we discussed in the recipe. Very easy. Give it a little shake. Try not to spray it all over my computer. And we have
this is the first cocktail I've seen you make. That's pretty exciting here.
Yeah. And I'll start up with a little cocktail. So
I love passion fruit the most.
Me too.
It really is such a delicious flavor.
Me too. And it's really fun to do this at this, in the spring when we're coming out of hibernation. It's really nice to have a nice little passion fruit cocktail. So cheers, everybody.
Cheers. Well, I wish I was making one, but looks lovely.
Right on. So if you want, I can take you guys into the little conversation we're going to have today.
Yeah, sounds perfect.
This is based on a lot of information that I've collected over the years, and had great conversations with people who are very knowledgeable in their territory. So, there's so much to rum, and it's such an incredibly diverse environment. The category is incredibly complicated, and there's a lot to it. Similar to whiskey in that you have bourbon and Irish whiskey, Canadian whiskey, Scotch whiskey, on and on and on and on with all these different elements within the category. You have the same thing with rum. You've got rum agricole, you have claret, you have cachaça, you've got molasses-based rums and so on. So I thought it would be fun to kind of put together a little piece that just sort of talks about some of that, but also why they've ended up the way they have, and what is the technology that leads to their individual styles over the years. So we're going to study that a little bit. So let me just share my screen with you guys. Here we go. Hope this is going to work.
It's there. Feel good about it.
You guys got it? Okay.
No, we don't have it actually.
You're not seeing it right now?
No.
Uh-oh. Okay. Mine's saying share. Here we go. Let me try it again.
There it is.
Okay. So if I do that, now you got it?
Yes, we got it. We're with you.
Sorry.
You look great no matter what. I'll tell you if you got something in your ear.
Thank you.
Yep.
So I just found this to be really fun. We learned a little bit about who I am, and here's the Passionista cocktail. If anybody wants to grab a screenshot of that again, so you can make this one at home. But the thing that I wanted to go into was the fact that, how big this category is in rum, and how global it is. And that always struck me as something very interesting, that we have such an unbelievably complicated category, but really the history of rum is the history of, modern alcohol. And so I just found it to be a pretty fascinating thing. There's more varieties, production methods, and geographic identities than vodka, tequila, and brandy combined. You could probably add a few more spirits in there also. It's a global spirit that's produced around the world, and it's widely misunderstood. Most people, think that rum is rum. And they think that rum has no rules. And you hear people saying these things all the time. Rum's the Wild West. It has no rules. When in fact, there's rules in every rum making nation. In the same way that, we don't really look at whiskey and say, well, whiskey has no overarching international rules, because it doesn't. And neither does rum, because whiskey is made in Scotland by the Scottish rules, and Ireland by the Irish rules, and Canada by the Canadian rules, and in the bourbon region, in Kentucky by their rules, in the same way that cachaça is made in Brazil by their rules, and rum agricole in Martinique by their rules, and in Barbados and Jamaica by their rules, and Haiti and so on. So all of those things make sense when you start to kind of look at it in the similar light. So I think part of the reason why we all know so much about whiskey categories and we don't know about rum categories is because we've never, the big industry in rum has never really focused on the attributes of rum, the techniques, the processes, the history, the culture, the traditions. They've just been talking about rum as like light and dark, and talk about parties and talk about, aliens and sea monsters and things like that, rather than, well, it's made with these particular attributes and made in these particular ways. So that's why I think there's this lag in category understanding.
Yeah, I think I would add to that what I've seen so much of is brands telling their own story.
Yeah.
Kind of just off on an island. This is our story. Nothing else is relevant. And not wanting to have a broader conversation, which I think is such a miss, because when you have the context, it's just empowering. It gets people more excited about the broader macro category when you can understand the depth to all that, you know?
Absolutely. And that's why I wanted to do this presentation without any branding, really, to kind of celebrate all of these categories and all of our friends that we've become, you know, close with over the years across the rum spectrum. You know, you, Pete, and other folks in the category that are making really beautiful spirits all around the world. And this is a chance to kind of clear that up for anybody who isn't familiar with some of this background. So, you know, rum comes from obviously distillation, and the big idea in distillation began about 2000 BC for the production of perfumes and aromatics. It's suggested that it began in Mesopotamia. So the Arabs were using it to make perfumes, basically. And in the Middle East, they really refined this over the centuries and came up with alcohol, which is alcohol as we know it, and the pot still that we're so familiar with is called the alembic pot still, and that's circa around 800 AD. And you know, it's an interesting device that was originally developed to extract aromatics to make perfumes, and in this case, later it became understood that you could do make drinking alcohol from it. Albertus Magnus was the first to describe it in detail about 800 and 900 years ago, and he wrote about it and actually discussed its uses. Arnoldus Villanova in 1315 was also really interested in elaborately describing aqua vitae, which is life water, and he talked about it being health-inducing and clearing away ill humors and reviving the heart and maintaining youth, and it was literally, you know, the fountain of youth. So people have gone into pretty elaborate discussions about alcohol, and I think they just kind of get to that euphoric stage maybe while they're drinking and writing at the same time. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if those health claims have been validated per se.
Yeah, the TTB in America tries everything they can to stop anybody from making health claims, but there you go.
Yeah.
But my favorite is this gentleman, this German physician named Hieronymus Bunschweig, who's he thought that alcohol cured baldness, and that it killed body lice, that it eliminated belching, which I think it kind of contributes to it, but hey, that's just me. And that it cured all stinking wounds, which I think is fabulous. That I do believe that alcohol will cure all stinking wounds. So I think it's one of those things that we shouldn't look down on that particular attribute. But I think it's really fun that you have this history, this rich history that goes back. In the Caribbean, the history goes back very far as well. It's kind of ironic about Christopher Columbus being the first person to actually bring sugarcane to the Caribbean. It's not indigenous to the Caribbean rim. So you did not have sugarcane there before 1493. And the irony there is that Columbus was going to the Caribbean in order to discover, to find the gold in the city, the fabled city, El Dorado, which was supposed to be this entire city made of gold, and he was going to go get the gold and bring it back to the Queen of Spain. And what he didn't realize was that by bringing sugarcane to the West, that sugarcane would be planted, people would start farming it, they would make refined sugar, and then the price of sugar actually at one point in history became more valuable per ounce than the price of gold. So he literally had the gold with him on the boat as he was coming to North America, Central America to find gold. So in 1640 is when rum production is first documented, and that was in Barbados. And so people talk about Barbados being the birthplace of rum for that reason, because it's the oldest known document at this time to actually discuss rum production techniques and processes. And it was done in combination with sugar production. So people, I've heard lots of people talk about and speculate on, sugar came first and then rum came later and all that kind of stuff. But it seems to be that in 1640, they were doing them side by side. So they knew about rum and they knew about the distillation techniques, and they were doing that at the same time. And actually, Richard Seale was the one who uncovered the majority of that information that I've learned. So by the 18th century, cane farming became very popular in the Caribbean, and you started to build a real industry for sugar globally, which the British dominated. But the global market for sugar was, caused the price of sugar to just skyrocket, and that's when, in the middle of the 18th century, that's when the price of sugar was so incredibly high that you were able to, sell it for a better price than an ounce of gold. So whiskey producers from Scotland and Ireland were imported to Barbados and Jamaica to make rum. Primarily Scotland. I've heard a couple people from Ireland that were associated with still manufacturing, and later those were brought to the islands, depending on their which island was using which technique. In the French islands, the cognac producers were sending down technology and technicians. The Portuguese were bringing their brandy producers. They went to Martinique and Brazil. And I know, Pete, you can talk about this as well, where the production of rum agricole began in cachaça, and the Spaniards were making claret also at that time. So, in this era, this gold rush, we call it the sugar rush. That era was an era where actually Barbados became the single largest alcohol producing nation in the world, which is hard to imagine when you think there was only about 50,000 people on the island at the time, and they were making more alcohol than any other nation. The European monarchs began fighting over sugar producing islands, which is why you have all these islands down there. There's the French islands and the British islands and the Spanish islands and the Portuguese and the Dutch also had some, and then depending on who had the strongest navies at different times, they would take and retake islands. So there's all these battles going on. It was all over commodity. It was all over money. So then this all coincided with the production of sugar and its byproduct in the case of